Hello and welcome to Inside Neyland Stadium, a trashed Shields-Watkins field after a delayed kind of field storm for Tennessee. After they knock off Alabama, the number 11 Vols win 24-17 over number 7 Alabama. I'm Ryan Sylvia, this is Noah Taylor. We're with VolReport.com on the Rivals Network. And just overall thoughts on the game to get this started. What's about an hour after the final whistle, I guess? What are you thinking about?
I mean, you see some of the same struggles you've seen in 3 weeks. Obviously, the shutout in the first half again, 3 weeks in a row. I mean, you can pinpoint those things. You can look at, some of the mistakes, the offensive woes, the missed opportunities. But at the end of the day, I know that's something that Tennessee fans certainly aren't going to be thinking about. I know the players, when they get into, they talked a little bit about it just a minute with us, but it's something maybe Monday they'll focus on. But right now, I think the biggest thing, again, is the defense. I know we sound like a broken record there. I mean, it's an elite defense. They've been elite all year. They've kept this team in games all year. They did it tonight. Enough can't be said about them. But I think one of the biggest takeaways is the way the offense played in the second half. And especially on that last drive, you're expecting maybe kind of a heavy dose of Dylan Sampson to kind of get Tennessee the lead there. And maybe you have to settle for a field goal in that situation, just the way the game has gone. But they go aggressive there. They let give Nico a chance, and for the first time, really outside of that Arkansas game, but the first time to lead a drive like that, and he comes through with the kind of throw that we know he's capable of, and did it. And Chris Brazzell, the guy that talked a lot about transferring to this team from Tulane in the offseason, and kind of waited for him to kind of have a big breakout performance, and he has one of the biggest plays in certainly the storied rivalry's history tonight. So I think the biggest thing, you look at it now that you've seen the final score and Tennessee's won, is there's something to build on there, I think, offensively. And defensively, I think 7 games in, this defense is absolutely elite and going to win you a lot of games. The offense is catching up to that. They showed a good sign of that tonight, and that bodes really well for Tennessee going forward.
Nico Iamaleava's first touchdown pass since hitting Dante Thornton in the final moments of the first quarter against Arkansas. And he finally gets back in the stat sheet column for passing touchdowns with a big one there to Chris Brazzell. That entire second half, though, felt like that offense looked a lot better. And that's obviously been the story the last 3 weeks when you look at Tennessee getting shut out in the first half for the third straight week. But this time the offense felt even a step better than it did against Florida or Arkansas in the second half. It really felt like some of the things are starting to click, and a lot of things felt like it's just execution. Like there's a lot of plays that Nico's going to want back, and guys open down the field, and play calling felt a lot more open tonight, and it felt like the receivers were getting a lot more separation against the weaker Alabama secondary this year, and Nico just missed some throws, but things were really starting to feel like they clicked in the second half. Dylan Sampson started to get going with some big runs. You saw a big play to Dante Thornton down the sideline on a third down, and that puts them in position to score. You see the play to Chris Brazzell. It felt like things started to look more like a Josh Heupel offense clicking. So to you, is it like you said something to build off of? If they can capture that kind of second half offense, and even obviously the first half defense was great, but another good performance from the defense in the second half, what's the ceiling of this team if you can kind of capture those 30 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, it's what we kind of thought at the beginning of the year. I mean, it's a playoff team, certainly, with the expanded playoff. And then you look at the rest of the schedule. I don't know if necessarily, you get past Florida last week, you survived that game. I think that's kind of the best way to describe that one. Maybe you're not feeling as optimistic. I think that changes with this win. I mean, it's still Alabama. It's still a lot of talent on that team. The way you're able to win, the way you're able to see the offense come to life in that second half in a way that, like you mentioned, they have been able to do that in the last, giving themselves a chance against Arkansas. Came up short, but you saw the offense come to life in that game. You saw the offense come to life against Florida. Tonight, it would just look different, the way that they were able to move the ball downfield and then do it in such a critical moment in the game when they absolutely needed it, and when they absolutely needed Nico to step up. I think when you put all that together and you look at the rest of the schedule, you get another week off. I think that helps. Yeah. Especially some guys like Dylan Sampson who are taking a lot of heavy loads, heavy hits right now. So you get a chance to rest up. You get Kentucky at home. And Georgia right now is putting it on Texas. So that's a game that is still going to be huge. It was big either way, going to Athens. But, I think 10-2 is back on the table for the regular season, and certainly the college football playoff is as well. And I think defense is going to help get you there, but man, if that offense can keep doing what it did tonight, it certainly heightens the ceiling for this team.
What are the thoughts on Nico right now? Really rough first half, and then a lot better second half. How do you feel about where he's at?
Yeah, I mean, Josh Heupel kind of touched on it back there. You got to see it for full 4 quarters. I think that, and again, going back to the ceiling talk, that's what's going to get Tennessee there if he can put that together. And Josh Heupel's talked a lot about it. You can attribute it to coach speak, but we see it with our own eyes. He talks about this team being close. I mean, they are. I mean, you can actually see plays coming up inches short, throws that are inches short. I think you still need to see a lot better out of him. You talk about that throw to Squirrel White there in the first half. Big opportunity missed there where he was wide open. I think it was another one as well. And sometimes the receivers haven't helped him either. So I think it's kind of been an issue for not just him, but some of the guys around him not helping him out necessarily. But certainly you saw why this guy was a 5-star, why this guy's one of the best quarterbacks in his class tonight. But you're only seeing it in kind of like in spurts, And so I think through 6 or 7 games for him as the full-time starter, you can count obviously the Citrus Bowl too. I think going to be cautiously optimistic that he's going to get better. Tonight kind of proved that, but certainly you got to put full 4 quarters together for this team to really kind of meet its goals.
Yeah, it's easier said than done, but it's like if he can hit on some of those deep balls that he's been missing on and start to connect there and then just make sounder decisions. The interception, there's just no reason that ball should have ever been thrown into right. Just throw that into the bleachers and go play second down, but instead it's a critical turnover in a situation where you have to at least leave with 3 points. But if he can kind of just not get in his own way with some of those decisions and then just be a little bit more accurate down the field, all of a sudden he's starting to look like that elite quarterback that we saw at the beginning of the year. Kind of a 2-part question here. Dylan Sampson, first of all, touch on him and what he's been able to do. Another great game for him. Final stat line for Dylan Sampson, 26 carries for 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's a 5.3 yards per carry average. But then also the offensive line obviously helps with that run game, but felt like the offensive line really wasn't that bad today.
No, I mean, there were a couple, plays early on in the game. I think that, they'd certainly like to have back Nico being under pressure. Look, shades of the Florida game and a little bit of the Arkansas game. But you're right. I mean, they settled in. You started to see it in the second half of that Florida game last week. I thought that they deserve a little bit more credit for the way they kind of improved there down the stretch and really helped Dylan Sampson kind of, like you mentioned, you can't really – Dylan Sampson's a special player, obviously, and has been a huge part of this team's success. But you can't forget the offensive line and what they've been able to contribute in that. So I think that they improved tonight, and that's a good step for Tennessee going forward. Again, another unit that needs to do it for full 4.
And then the defense came in huge again for Tennessee, especially down the stretch, getting off the field as Alabama tries to pitch a comeback, holds Alabama to only 7 points, keeps the door kind of open for the comeback that we saw. How critical is the play of the defense at this point?
Yeah, I mean, they've been massive. I mean, Tennessee's not to where they're at right now. 6-1, bowl eligible already. Of course, their aspirations are bigger than making a bowl game right now, and they should be. But I think, the defensive line, we knew it was going to be good coming into the year. Josh Heupel was asked about that back there. Thought they had a chance to be really good. Tim Banks said in the spring he thought they had a chance to be the best defensive line in the country, but the secondary is what's been massive to me. I mean, I think coming into the year, there were still question marks there. You had 7 or 8 contributors that you lost off the last season team. I thought there was potential for them to be better, but I think they've exceeded expectations. You bring in a transfer, Tremont McCoy, comes up with a massive interception in the end zone that is one of those game-changing plays. Will Brooks, a walk-on, he's kind of the hero of the night. He gets the game-sealing interception. Drew Carter, a young guy that's playing that star position, and maybe a little bit of shades of Jonathan Wade against Florida in 2004. He kind of gets into it a little bit. I wouldn't say he, but there's a crucial 15-yard penalty after a third down play that forces Alabama to go for it on 4th and 22. So, and for a young guy to kind of be mature there with a guy kind of yapping in his face I think speaks volumes about what he's been able to do as well. And he's obviously a guy that played a lot of snaps early before we even saw Christian Harrison get on the field at that position today. So, I mean, they're playing a lot of young guys. They're playing a lot of new guys, some transfers. And, again, knew that the defensive line was going to be good, knew the linebacker core was going to be good. That secondary has been a huge part of that success, and you saw that tonight.
Ricky Gibson's been amazing. It was another amazing game for him. Just a sophomore, too. So it's a guy that's going to be back next year, barring a transfer, and he's someone that's probably going to play his way on the draft board. He had a really nice freshman season at Oregon State. Still a lot of question marks about what it would look like in the SEC, and so far, I mean, he's been phenomenal for Tennessee. Also, the linebacker position. You look at a spot where obviously you lose Keenan Peely for the season. A lot of questions on what that's going to look like. I thought the linebackers played well. Arian Carter, Jeremiah Teoender, the two guys that take up most of the snaps, but you also get Jalen Smith in there. You get Caleb Perry in there. You come out with the 4-3 again with Caleb Perry on the field. And I thought they played well. It didn't seem like there was really any, at least a lot of breakdowns in communication or anything like that without Keenan Peely there. So I think that's a big positive to take away as well. But, I mean, yeah, seasons, you look at the schedule, you look at kind of what's ahead for Tennessee, and you have to feel at least decently good. I think 10-2 gets you in the playoffs, so you have one loss to spare, and you can pencil that in as Georgia, let's say, which I don't think it's out of the question that Tennessee could win that game, but Georgia's obviously the favorite.
Yeah.
A lot of those other games, you're going to be the favorite in all of them. Vanderbilt to finish the season, who's, as we record this, struggling with Ball State. UTEP, who's one of the worst teams in the FBS. Mississippi State, who's the worst team in the SEC. And then Kentucky, who's struggling against Florida right now.
Yeah.
So outside of that, it's a lot of games that you should win. So this kind of felt almost like a mini playoff game in some ways, where it was like you win this game and everything's still in front of you, and you still have probably that one loss to a presumed Georgia loss on the road. And you still probably feel like you're a top 11 team and you're going to get in that playoff picture. So really big win, not only because it's a rival and because it's Alabama and everything that goes into that, but also just for your season. It's a big deal to keep just one loss on your record and advance to 6-1. That'll do it all for us here, though, today inside Neyland Stadium. And bye week for Tennessee next week. So we'll have coverage of Tennessee as they look to kind of refresh before their next game. So we'll have football coverage next week. Lady Vols having their local media day, so we'll have coverage from Kim Caldwell and company as they head into her first season. Always men's basketball, baseball coverage, everything else you need over at VolReport.com. Links to everything you need is in the description. Thanks for watching.